Hi, I'm Rusty from the Rusty Harden Studio in Tipp City, Ohio. Welcome to Doodle with Color. So I'm feeling the fall, so I have a little bit of a fall kind of a garland with some fall leaves. I just want to mention I'm using the Bristol smooth paper. Bristol's a type of paper, it's not a brand. The brand that I often use is a Strathmore, and I order them from the Visual Journal because they're just the right size for me to work with. The color that I'm adding is the Derwent Inktense Paint Pan Studio set. There's 22 colors in a black and a white. Inktense is an amazing water media. It's not a watercolor. It's actually it's an ink, and when it dries, it's permanent. And speaking of permanent, my pen I enjoy using is the Uniball Signo. I like the Micro 207. The ink here is waterproof and fade proof, so it works really well with the artwork. And it's a retractable gel pen, and I just love the way the ink just flows off the pen. Set these aside. We'll get started with drawing. I'll guide you through the drawing and step by step, and then I'll grab the paints again, and we'll together we'll add color. So I have my paper here. I'm going to kind of overlap that just a little bit so we can kind of see it as I go, but I'll start adding the design down here. Now I have a little bit of oils on my hand. We all do, can't help it. And I've noticed recently that when my hand's laying across my paper, sometimes my pen will skip off on this side. So I've got another piece of paper here, and I'm going to lay it where my hand is touching the paper, so that doesn't happen when I have to touch the paper. So I'm going to start here. I've got my paper at a little bit of an angle. Let's go ahead and get started. I'm going to start in about the center of my paper. I'm going to make little acorn cap. So I have like half of a circle up here. Yeah, that's about half of the circle. I'm kind of sketchy. I hold my pen loosely so that I don't get tension, don't hold tension in my arm that way, and that allows me to kind of make some adjustments. But it's perfectly fine to sketch this in pencil first and then come back with pen over it. You can sketch it with pencil and then add your color and then add pen, because not all pens are waterproof, so you might be mindful about that. You can use watercolor pencils. Derwent has some nice watercolor pencils, but you can use colored pencils. Also, Derwent has good colored pencils, but use your colored pencils, markers, crayons. Whatever you have, whatever you like. I like working with the Derwent pan set because the colors are convenient. They're all right there. I like that they have such a variety of color in a small set, so I enjoy them. So I have my acorn. I'm probably gonna put some of the other sketch in and then come back in and add my doodles. So right about the top here, I'm gonna create this kind of garland. I'm gonna go sweep this up one way. I'm gonna sweep this up the other way. I don't worry about them being even. It's not about perfection. Perfection's overrated. It's about relaxing and enjoying the process. So from there, I'm going to put my paper there so I can lay my arm against here. I'm going to do the acorn leaves next. So I'm going to make a swooping up line. So I'm going to start a little bit, probably, if I was going to measure it, I'd probably start about an 1/8 of an inch on this side, but nobody really wants to measure all that stuff. I'm just up a little bit off to the left of it. So I'm going to make kind of a matching line until I get here. Then I'm going to go up the hill and down the hill. Up the hill, down the hill. Up the hill, down the hill. Up a hill, down a hill, and up a hill. I think I'm going to pull that line up just a little bit. Now I'm going to go go back down the other way. I'm going to go up a hill, down a hill, up a hill, down, up a hill, down, uphill, down. I'm going to go over these lines an extra time. You notice how I don't really line up right over that on this side, because that's because I'm going to fill this in. Yeah, kind of gives it a sense of depth and interest. Also a little bit here, a little bit there. I have much more on the bottom side than I do the top side. Yeah, no hurries, no rushing. Just going to enjoy this process, this doodling. So as you're working, remember to breathe. Breathing is not overrated. If you remember to take some deep breaths while you're relaxing and doing your artwork, you can start to feel a little bit tense when you're following along. But so don't do that. Just relax. I mean, like we have full days and we need a little time to ourselves. There we go. Okay, so I'm gonna go ahead and add the doodles that I have to this. So on this side of the oak leaf, I have dashes. Dashes are just little straight lines. I have long ones and short ones. All the way up. And if you don't add color, these are interesting and fun to do. Speaking of doodles that doesn't without color, I have free online doodle classes. I have they are listed on eventbrite.com, and that link is in my description below here on my YouTube channel. So I have 3 a week. I have one on Tuesday, then I have 2 on Wednesdays. So have a look at those and see if it's something you want to join me with. And then I do basically the same thing. I guide everybody through the drawing, remind everybody to breathe, and we just have a good time. So I have enough dashes there. This other side I filled in with dots. Doesn't have to be complicated to be interesting. We can all just make dots. I have dots all the way down, just creating texture. I think I'm going to make an extra little line along that center line, so I have a little space there. There we are. Goes pretty fast. Not that speed really matters, but good. Have to stop and clean that little line up. If you have trouble not making them in a straight line, kind of do your dots in circles, because sometimes we get kind of caught in a pattern, and we really don't want straight lines in here. So do them kind of in circles, and you won't have straight lines, at least not very many. Okay, I'm going to do the oak leaf on the other side, and it's going to be basically the same way. I'm going to make a swoosh line up from here. I'm going to go up a hill, down a hill, up a hill, down a hill, up a hill, down a hill, back up a hill, up a hill, down, up, down, up, down. Oh, that was an up, wasn't it? There we go. So on the right side of this, I'm going to follow a line with an extra line right along that. So on the right side of this, I have circles. So I'm going to fill this pattern in with circles. Just on this right side. Now the reason I have that paper there is so that I don't transfer oils from my hand onto my paper. If you don't touch your paper, you don't have to worry about it. But I found recently that that's happening, so it makes my pen, my ink from my pen skip a little bit. And since I really depend on having good lines for the doodles, I had to come up with some solution, and this is what I found will work. Painting, it's not so much of the issue, but using the ink is. There we go. So on the other side, I'm going to go with X's. Quite frequently, the lines I have in my doodles are shapes and symbols that I use in everyday life. I don't think I have any here, but some of my favorite are numbers, like the number 8. Letters like S. Now I'm using X's. Don't have to recreate the wheel. Just use the wheel in different ways. If you're a Zentangle person, of course, you know, use your patterns that you learn with your Zentangle. You know, just be you. So I'm going to go over this line. Just like I did the other side, I'm going to fill this in a little bit. Yeah, I like that pretty well. So while I'm here, I'm going to go ahead and fill this in, my little stem here, with my ink. And I'm using the letter V's for the texture on top of the acorn, for the little cap. So I'm going to make some stripes here. There we go. How about if I do the leaves that are along this now? Now this is a leaf shape. Let me grab an index card and demonstrate the shape for you. So this is a leaf shape that I'll be using. And so they're going to go sideways along this line. Now if that's difficult for you to make, you can think in terms of like a parentheses or brackets, taper one end and then the other. So this is parentheses that you would put in a sentence, or brackets. So you kind of want to bring that in, taper down a little bit, and this end tapered a lot, and you get that leaf shape. If you can identify a shape that you can relate to, then draw that. And that. So I say if you can see the shape, you can draw anything. But we don't all see the shapes the same way. So I'll put these guys on both sides. And I'm not putting them too close together because I have these little berries that I'm going to put down all along I'm going to call this part a little garland. It's a branch or a garland, I don't know. This is where, that's what happened where I laid my hand across it earlier, where before I put the card on it. Just kind of skips a little bit. There we go. Let's see, I might have room for one that I have coming down behind that. There we go. So now I'm going to add some berries, and they're just circles, little circles. So I'm putting the berries around where the leaves come together. 2 or 3 or 5. Every now and then I'm going to put a stray one out there in between. Down here close to where all these come together, I'm going to put several. It really makes this a very strong connection by putting those little berries. All filling it in. So I'm putting some lines in my leaves. Okay. How about if I go and do the other side now? Okay. But I like to start up here on the point. So I'll put this one on first. There we are. Yeah. Give them a little space because I'm going to put those berries in there. At least that's my plan. There we go. I'm going to come up here with the berries. I'm putting 3 or so around each set of leaves, and then occasionally an extra one around, because I'm going to make the leaves green and those little berries red, and we love to see green and red together. Well, they're compliments on the color wheel anyway, but they're such a high energy and they make us feel good. And it really pops because they'll have the high energy green and red, and then all the other colors that I've chosen are a little bit more muted, so little contrast there. Put the lines in my leaves. Make sure clean up my lines a little bit, make sure they're all there. Sometimes just going over your lines just makes them more significant. And put a bunch in here to make this whole center really strong. All right, I have 2 elements left. I'm going to make this is a plant. I think they used to call it the money plant. Anyway, I was inspired by those when I was a kid at my great-grandmother's. She had this plant, and it's very translucent. I don't know why they call it the money plant. It's translucent, and you could see little seed pods in it. So I made a swoopy line. So Here's kind of an oval one. It's kind of they're a little bit wonky. They're not really ovals. They're kind of wonky ovals. It could be circles if it's easier for you. It doesn't really matter. Just make it interesting and fun. I'm going to put this one back here. You can't really see all of it, but I want it there. So actually I'm the boss of it, so I get to put it where I want. And that's what's true with you. Use what you want. If you don't, then don't. It's your doodle. So I'm going to go over my line a few times. And then inside, make a little curly line, and fill it in. Just a couple more. Okay, last one. Okay. I like it. I'm going to switch over here to the other side. There we go. So it's going to use the same leaf shape but bigger. So I'm going to start with the first one here. Big old leaf shape. Then I'm going to do the one next to it. And then we'll do a smaller one. So the center lines, instead of being lines, they're ovals. Like an oval chain. Okay. I think we're ready for color. So let me grab my paints again. Oh, look at those. So beautiful. Put that down a little bit. Yep. Full on beautiful. I'm going to spray my colors. I'm not going to use all the colors, but I always say I spray them all because I never know when I just want to reach up there and get a color that I didn't use yet. And I always spray my sponge. I tap my brush to it pretty often. Speaking of brushes, I could use my traditional paint brushes. The set comes with this water brush. I'm a fan of the water brush. I've been working with them for years. The water's in the handle, so you don't have to have as much water on hand to clean out the brush. You squeeze it and let a few drops out and touch your sponge. It's just convenient. They have a really nice point. I like them. So let's just start right away with our colors. Let me get this back out here so we can see it. So I'm going to do a combination of the colors. I'm going to do these leaf things down here first. Oh, by the way, I need to switch. So I need to let this ink dry. It's waterproof and fade proof, but it needs to cure. So I have another one sketched out. So that's what I'm gonna use this one. Because so what if you don't have time to let it dry? Go get the blow dryer and put the blow dryer on it for a little bit. So the colors I'm going to use for the leaves down here, you'll see I have a warm green, which is a yellow green. That is the it's called the kiwi, and then we're going to use the hooker's green for the and sometimes I come over here and get a little bit of the Ionian green. So I want all three greens in here. But I'm going to start out, got a little bit of water in my brush. I'm going to put it down here so you can see me kind of mix it. So I'm just going to come through, and I don't really worry about filling it in all the way because I'm going to come back in with the other green. So this just helps me start mixing the colors. I mix the colors right in their spaces, I guess is a good way to say it. I need a little bit more. I can just come right back up to the little puddle that I made. And I'm careful not to squeeze my brush, because if I squeeze my brush, water's going to come out. Which is, okay, but I don't need it. Don't need it any thinner. So I'm not being too meticulous. It's a doodle. It's about relaxing and having fun, but you be you. If you have to fill in every spot, you do that. If I don't fill in every spot, then when I come and add the next green, then I get more variation. There we go. Now I'm going to get the hooker's green. Just start right up here where I do have a paper towel on hand if I need to take some water out of my brush, but I don't need to right now. See how it's blending. The two colors are blending together here. It's nice. I think I might add a little bit Ionian green to it here in a minute. I got out of line. It's okay. It's a doodle. I don't strive for perfection either. I'm working with the hooker's green right now. I put in the kiwi first. Then I'm coming back and adding some hooker's green to it. And I'm going to come and get a little bit Ionian. Oop, touched the wrong one. Ionian green. Just a little bit. It's more of a muted green. Yep, there we go. Get a little bit of the Ionian green. Just going to touch it in a few of them. Not even the whole leaf, just here and there. Okay, good. Now I want to wait for the paint to dry before I come and add the red berry. So I'm going to clean up my brush. I can do that by squeezing the water and touching the sponge. Now I'm clean enough to move on. So I'm going to mix a little bit of my violet here with a little bit of the bright blue. And it's just going to give me a really soft blue violet. And all I need to do is just fill these in. And I don't want a lot of color in this because the nature of the plant is transparent. Just want the color. Just want that color in there. I'm still not ready to come down and do the berries yet. So my next, I'm going to skip all the way over here, and this I'm going to use this this color over here. It's a dark plum. So I have a dark plum is right up there. Let me test my color. Let's see, put some. Oh yeah. So I have this. Oh, isn't that pretty? It's so pretty. So I'm going to go ahead and just go ahead and paint. Fill it in. I don't need to mix any other color with this. I thought it was perfect on its own. But I am going to paint one and then the other. Oh, isn't that pretty color? I'm gushing, I know. But I love painting, and I love watching paint interact with water in spaces. So painting right around that green leaf. Yes. I might come back and strengthen my pen lines in there after I've painted it. We'll see. Oh, and because the way I've applied the color and the water together, I get natural highlights and lowlights. So that's going to give me just enough variation in there to be happy. Okay. So now I'm going to come down and I'm going to do the top of the acorn cap. It's going to be a color mixture. I'm using the this burnt yellow oxide color, and then I'm also going to come in and use a little bit of natural brown. But first I'm going to put the burnt oxide color in here. A little heavier, there we go. But I'm going to let this kind of, not really dry per se, but let the color kind of, some of the water evaporate out of it before I bring in the browns. But speaking of the brown, I'm going to come get it now. I'm going to head and paint down here. And I allowed for my little stripes to show through when I painted this. So now I've just got barely any paint left in my brush. And this is a little bit damp, but I want to pull a little bit of it, mix it right here on my paper, so I have a little bit of variation happening. So now speaking of that, that burnt oxide, I'm going for that right here on this side of the oak leaf. Paint right over all my little lines and everything. Now I just think about this half when I'm doing it. Now the same color is going to come over here in spots. Just in some places. I want to pick up this, go back and get the same color that I have in the acorn, that brown. So I've kind of pulled the color from the acorn up through this, and I don't want it so dark that I can't see my little dots. As it dries, we'll see the patterns. we go. Very good. So, this leaf, I'm going to go ahead and go with some greens in it. I'm gonna get the kiwi green, and I'm gonna put it in places. Just like this. Now I'm going to come up and get the hooker's green and just go ahead and paint it right over everything. Just mixing it right here in my design. So by painting the hooker's green on the outside and the kiwi green kind of the center, it gives me a nice little highlight right down that center. Here we go. So I'll have a little bit of blue-green. Speaking of blue, let's just go up here and get a little bit. I just have a feeling I want a little blue in it. A little different than my demo. That's why I spray things, because sometimes I just want to switch something up. I like it. I like it a lot. And you watch and see how it changes as it dries. It'll dry a little bit lighter. Well, that leaves me with the berries, and we'll be finished today. I'm going to use the cherry red for my berries. So make sure my brush, I'm touching my paint, and then rolling my brush, so I make sure I keep my point. So I'm just going to tap my circles. On this drawing, I made my circles a little small. I like that I made them bigger on this one. So when I did the drawing that I did for you, I made them bigger. Always state of adjustment. Doesn't make it wrong. Just preferences. Okay. There we go. So I hope I'll let it dry. I'll come in a few places where I feel like I need to maybe strengthen some lines. I'll go back over them if they look weak to me. Those are decisions you get to make for your drawing. Yep. So I hope you'll join me for some of my online classes. I'll look for you next time. We have a Doodle with Color class. So check me out on Eventbrite.com. The link for my specific classes is in the discussion down at the bottom. I have a link to some of the products for me locally in this area where you could pick them up, but also some links for ordering the products online. So look, you have a great day and doodle on.